Hello, and welcome back. This is Mahdi, CEO of the Soul Focus Group, the coaching and consulting company that's taking DEI work to the next level. We call it human solidarity. We are raising the bar. Human solidarity is what we call it. And human solidarity is rooted in the science of bringing out the best in people. At the Soul Focus Group, that's what we do. We bring out the best in people. I'm so proud of that. Because, when we first started off, me, my business partner, and other colleagues, Martin Friedman and Bonnie Cushion, and a whole bunch of other ones, that when we first started out, we wanted to have create an environment. My business partner is Dustin Washington, this one I won't forget. We had this vision of wanting to create a space whereby people could make mistakes without being ashamed. So we say all the time that we've built an altar at the center of our business, and the altar when you come to the altar is for you to offer up your mistakes for learning, for redemption, for rejuvenation, not of the person that's offering them, but for everybody present, because it's through the mistakes that we make that we end up learning and growing. And if people can't make mistakes without being shamed, then growth is stymied. We want people to grow. I remember recently doing a podcast where Martin Friedman's wife, Felicia Savage, yoga guru, asked us a question. And it was a very profound question. I'd never been asked that question before. And it really got me thinking. And the question was, what would you want to have written on your tombstone, your epitaph, right? What would be the message that you want to leave? And I thought about it, and for only a few seconds, and because it came up so naturally in my spirit, my answer was he wanted us to grow. I would want to have written on my tombstone, he wanted us to grow. And when I thought about it, because I just recently lost my mother, and when we have this thing where in our community, in the Black community, where we don't really deal with death real well. Sometimes we do celebrations and whatnot, but there's a lot of emotional trauma that's connected to it that we have not really matured in the area of looking at death and looking at it as a natural part of life. It's kind of hard to even imagine that death is a natural part of life, but it is. None of us are getting out of here alive. We all have to go at some point. So the question becomes, what legacy are we leaving? What marks in the sands of time are we leaving? Who will ever know that you were here if you were here? And so when she asked that question, I thought about it, and I was like, all my life, I've been so dedicated to helping people grow. That has been my thing. That's the thing that's brought me joy. And I would say this, and you could say it's bragging, but you could drop me off anywhere where people are and come back in 1 year, and I would have grown people in ways that you can't even imagine. You will start seeing people bring out things out of themselves they never thought they were capable of, because I am a fruit. That's right. That's what I said. And the brothers in the nation know what I mean. I am a fruit. And when you drop a fruit off, because it has seeds, it begins to spread and grow things around it. And every single one of us who are in this business, I call myself a super coach, because there is no place that you could send me where I won't grow people. Not grow people into what I think they should be, but grow people into who they already are. They already are divine beings full of possibility and full of genius. And I help them to be able to get present to the genius and the possibilities within themselves. One of the things that I've learned in this journey of mine of being this person who help people grow is I've learned to be a constant learner. So when I show up to people, I don't show up to people knowing all the answers. I show up to people knowing that they have the answers already inside themselves, and my job is to draw it out. Now, when I figured that out, it took a lot of pressure off me, because at one point in my life, I thought I was here to save people. Now, newsflash to all those people who are mentors, coaches, teachers, etc., who believe unconsciously or consciously, but secretly believe that you're here to save people. You are not here to save. How are you going to save another soul, another infinite being who has been here just as long as you've been here. And I know we play those games about how old the person lives and how many lifetimes they've had. Listen, every infinite being is infinite. Every infinite being, and all of us are infinite beings beyond this body. The who we really are that lives in this body is an infinite being. Let that drop into your mind for a second. Infinite means there's no birth date, no beginning, no ending. We've all been here forever. When I discovered that, when I started seeing the divine in every being that I came into contact with, I had to change my approach because I realized I didn't come to save another infinite being. What I came to do is help another infinite being in this form remember that they are infinite beings. And when I've done that, it has always sparked growth. Growth is an inside out phenomenon. Growth is not something that happens from the outside in. Even though I can share something with someone, it is not the outside that is going to cause the growth to happen. It will be what they make it out to be inside themselves. So guess what? I'm the external teacher. I call myself the substitute teacher because I'm not your real teacher. I'm your substitute teacher. My job is to just to hold the line until the real teacher comes back online, until your real inner guru comes back online. And I should say not come back online because it's already online. Is when we learn to help you tune back into your internal voice, the growth starts to happen. And that happens through remembering, helping you to remember who you are. Remember who you are. Because when we forget who we are, is when we start having all the problems. Now, it's unfortunate because when we are born, in order to mask or to hide the pain that we experience in our mother's womb from growing in that small, very small space, what we have done is we have masked the memory of growing in that womb. Because you can imagine how traumatic it would be if we could remember our bones being formed in that small space. So we come into this world experiencing what we call spiritual amnesia. In other words, most of us don't remember who we really are. And so what the world does is rushes to us and tells us who they think we are. And then we take that on, that becomes our ego, our mental avatar that we go out into the world with. And then that creates so much confusion because we go out into the world thinking that we are what the world says we are, and we are not. And then usually we walk 20, 30, sometimes 40 years down the path before we figured out that who we were being was not who we really are. It's who we were told to be by the world. So my job as a person with passion and inspiration and guidance to help you grow, my job is to bring you back to your senses. And what I mean by that, because we have more than 5 senses, we have at least 20, to bring you back to your senses and let your senses deal with you. I'll let your senses deal with you because I cannot do what your senses will do for you. I cannot turn on for you what your senses will turn on for you. Some of you are lost your senses. And what that means is that they're not gone anywhere. That means you've lost contact with them. When religions say a person has lost their soul, they're not talking about literal that you have lost it, like gone. It means you've lost sight of it. You've lost the tune of it. You've lost the rhythm of it, the frequency of it. And I'm talking about cognitively in your mind. Because who you are is soul, and soul is never lost from itself. But the mind that we need in order to operate and function in this 3-dimensional reality, our soul needs a mind to represent it. So the reason why the world tells us who we are is so we have misrepresentation rather than accurate representation. So we exist most of our life inaccurately representing our inner realities to the outside world that creates even more amnesia. So I help you to remember so you can grow. I'm M, CEO of the Soul Focus Group. I love you, and all I want is for you to grow. Isn't that beautiful? Peace.